Hey guys, we're back. I'll wait till a couple people come on. Um, I still am not able to figure out the live thing. So I tried to, I downloaded a program called StreamYard and you can bring people on that way, but it was really lagging. Like it was like 3 or 4 minutes behind. Like I was watching the live on my phone, the test, and like I would speak, and then like 3 minutes later, I would see myself speak on the thing. So I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do that because then I wouldn't be able to follow everyone in the comments. And I know, go live fail again, Talisa. But it was so far lagged. It was like 3 minutes lagged. So if I would have did that just to be able to bring another person on, I wouldn't have been able to communicate with as many people on the live because the comments would have been so far behind. And I just don't want to do that just to have one person come on. But I will get it figured out. I'm doing another live Saturday, so hopefully by Saturday, we'll have it figured out. So if you haven't been with us for our Factor Lives before, last Saturday we did a live on self-esteem, and Monday night I did a live on I forget what I did a live on Monday. Talisa, what I do my live on Monday? I know we talked about a lot of feelings and emotions and stuff like that. So, oh yeah, how to deal with the feelings and emotions, and you're gonna come to my house. And I did a poll on what everybody thought that they might want the live to do, and it was almost like even. So we're gonna do tonight on coming back after a relapse, and then Saturday night at 7 we'll do the triggers and cravings, because I think both topics people really want to discuss. So we'll talk about both topics. So if you're in any kind of drug court program and you need verification, if you're participating, you can PM me and I'll send an email to your probation officer that you participated in the meeting. So yeah, I seen there was a couple people that picked this topic, and I understood why, and I felt like it was a good one for tonight, Kim. So that's why I was like, well, we'll just do both this week. We'll do that one and we'll do this one. Can you guys share this to your pages? Because I did it on my personal page last time, and I didn't this time, and I don't really know how to share. So, like, when it's actually going on, like I have no idea. So, all right, coming back after a relapse. Before we start on the little bit of material that I have, because I felt like this topic was going to be more like we're going to discuss coming back from a relapse, because most of us have done it. I know Talisa hasn't, because this is Talisa's first time in recovery, which is like phenomenal that she was able to get as far as she has, because it took me like, I can't even count. I really can't even count. I think I felt like I counted one time and it was like 7 or 8. So, and the average person is in treatment. The average person is in treatment about 7 times before they are able to get and stay clean. That was like the national average was about 7 times. So if you're coming back from a relapse, or you're still in active addiction and you feel like you just can't get out of it because it's never going to end, 7 times is the national average. So you're not out of the game yet. You know, you still have a chance to come back from this. Thanks, Kim. So just before we even start, how many people that I have on now have found some type of recovery or been clean before and went back to active addiction and had to come back into recovery again? How many people have experienced that part of recovery? The lapse, the relapse. Never quit trying. Yes, Talisa, that's true. That's definitely true. I know people that had 10 or 15 times in recovery, even if it's just for 1 or 2 days that they were attending meetings or trying, and they went and they're clean today. So you never quit trying. But how many people have been down this road before and maybe had a setback and had to get back up on the horse? Hey, Andrea. We're just talking about coming back after a relapse. And before I dive into the material, I was asking how many people on here have had times in recovery before, or something that they thought was recovery before, had a setback and came back into recovery, so have come back from a relapse. So that's what we were talking about. I was just asking how many people on here. I know I have. I was saying I have tried to get clean or tried to find recovery 7 or 8 times. Went to different programs, drug court programs, counseling programs, IOP, meetings, try to get clean on my own, Suboxone program, methadone program. I have come back from a lot of relapses. So I've done it all. So I was just asking who has been has come back from a relapse. And I don't see any comments, but I'm looking at the faces on the screen, and I know some of y'all have something to say about that. Okay, Andrea says, oh yeah, definitely. My new date is March 8th. Woo! Good job, Andrea. Yeah, so you'll benefit from this too. Definitely somebody that knows a little something about coming back from a relapse, that's for sure. And I don't see... I wish I could see everybody on the screen. Devin says 4 times or so. I just see a couple of you. I don't know why, but I'm really bad at my phone. That's probably what it is. Yeah, so Devin and Andrea, would you say, because my last time out was the worst for me. And I know y'all have different experiences. My new date is January 7th. Good job, Kim. Everybody's experiences are different, and the way that people go back out is different for everyone. So would you say that the last time was the worst or hardest to come back from? Or would you say that it was about the same? Or would you say that it was a little bit easier because you knew some recovery before? The last time for me was the hardest because I really never knew true recovery, except for in an institution. I was locked up for a year in jail, and then at Klifsky and CBCF, and it was true recovery for me, but I was in a lockdown facility, so I didn't know what recovery on the outside was. So this time was the only time that I've ever had recovery on the outside. So the last relapse for me was the hardest. I went really heavy. So I was just wondering if you guys would say that your last time out was the hardest. Or Devin says mine was knowing what you have to do. Thank you, Connie. Knowing what you have to do and what is going to be made it harder. Yeah. Because you already know what is expected of you. And once you make the mistake of falling backwards on that, it probably breaks your heart. Andrea says, probably the easiest since I had time before that and pivot to help me back up. Without that, it would have been a disaster. So you had like a whole program around you for support. And I think that probably with all of that support and accountability and stuff, maybe made it easier for you to get back up. So I would say I didn't have, when I relapsed the last time, I didn't have any support because I was trying to act like I wasn't an addict. Like I I mean, I would say, like I used to do drugs, but I wasn't like going to meetings and living recovery and acting like I was, needed lifelong help. So I didn't have a support system around me. So the relapse got really bad, like really heavy. And I like could not get a way out of it. Only way out of it was jail. Devin, but knowing that getting back to being clean is amazing made the fight with that much more worth it. Yeah. Hey, Tevin. Thank you for your material. We used your material last Saturday night. We did the self-esteem Mad Lib on the live, and it was super fun. In fact, other people messaged me and asked me for it for different places. We had a lot of fun with it, so. Anyone else want to say anything about coming back after a relapse before I get into the material and we start talking? Anybody feel like this time was their hardest relapse, or if it was the most difficult to get back from? Thank you, Tevin. I'll take whatever you got. I'll take all the material you got. I've been using the videos and everything, so. Okay, so I'll just get into the material, and you guys participate with me in the comments, please, like we always do. Hope everyone brought their snacks. Tonight I'm having Nerds and iced tea. It's strawberry watermelon. Kim says, my last time out was most disappointing because I had put in a lot of work and graduated the program and slipped weeks after. But this time being out, I knew I had to try something I had never done before, which for me was going to inpatient treatment and getting a sponsor and reading the book, working the steps and meetings daily, and also working on my mental health and trauma therapy. Very good. Yeah, because you had a lot of clean time, a lot of recovery time. You were doing a lot for the community too. So I know that had to be hard to fall back from that. But you came back like a rock star, so that's all that matters today. Okay, life after relapse, how to bounce back and start over. So I think these are just some healthy tips. Devin says mental health is the biggest struggle. Yeah, it is. It is for a lot of people. So, majority of people in addiction have mental health issues. I do. I'm recovering from anxiety and depression as well. So, I have to maintain that in order to maintain my recovery. Honestly, that's the only way that I'm able to really maintain it. So how to bounce back and start over. There's just some different tips on here, and I wanted to talk about that. It says you made it through recovery treatment. You were doing well. Stopping on your drugging, and then one night a coworker asks you to use. It can't hurt, you tell yourself. That's the last thing you remember when you wake up in the hospital the next morning. A relapse is one of the most frustrating, humiliating experiences you can face in recovery from any problem or habit. It leaves you feeling guilty, ashamed, and tempted to throw in the towel and just keep acting out on that addiction. Unfortunately, relapse is also common. According to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, 40 to 60% of people who go through addiction treatment programs go on to slip at least once. In fact, many people have multiple setbacks before finally achieving a full recovery. So they're saying 40 to 60% of people at least slip once, and many people have many setbacks before they achieve their recovery. Talisa says, just keep in mind that you may have to change your clean date, but nobody can take away your knowledge of the program you have. That's right, and I think that's why the OMAS, the Ohio Mental Health and Addiction Services, changed the requirements for peer recovery supporters, because nobody can take away what you've gained, the knowledge you've gained, the many times that you may have been in recovery. So you have a setback, and 11 months, not 12 months later, you'd like to offer somebody some peer work, be their help, be their peer, and be there for them and stuff. So they don't put a number on when you're allowed to do that anymore, because you could really be able to provide that at any time, because you've learned so much over the, multiple times in being in recovery. That's how I feel about it anyway. It says you can take some comfort in knowing relapse is common, but how do you handle it? So they're saying 40 to 60% of people have at least one lapse. So I thought it was more than that, honestly, because I only know one person that's has only ever been clean once and stayed clean, and that's Talisa. I don't know anyone else that has not had at least one relapse. So I really thought it'd be more than 40 to 60%. Maybe some people aren't. Maybe they're not reporting it or something. I don't know. But anyway, so here's some tips. The first one is brace yourself. Talisa, did you share this in our group? In the Factor for Recovery group? Somebody should share it in that group because people might be looking on there for it. It says brace yourself. For many, after a setback, a person's guilt, shame, and humiliation comes back tenfold. Prepare yourself for these feelings. Commit to use them as motivation to get back on track rather than as an excuse to hide away in disgrace if you do slip. So it's saying be prepared for feeling some of those feelings, for feeling the shame and humiliation, because it's going to happen, and it's basically saying that's okay, Tevin, I love you, good night. It's saying that you should use all of those feelings you're having to be a stronger motivator to get back up and work at it again. Don't let it be your excuse. Oh, well, everybody's going to be really hard on me and I'm embarrassed to show my face at a meeting. And I said I would never use again. And so I'm not going to try anymore. Forget it. I'm worthless. Don't let your excuses leave you using and hiding away. Use those feelings to make a stronger commitment to stay clean next time, to make a stronger commitment to make this time the time, is what it's saying. I see some hearts. You guys agree? Because I know a lot of people that have used that as an excuse before, well, I don't want to get up and try again because nobody will look at me the same. To hell with what others think, Devin says. This is all about your individual journey and make yourself the best you are. That's right. Who cares what other people think? Because at the end of the day, they're not going to be with you for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. Most people are not going to be with you, through the whole long haul. So what they think today is not going to matter tomorrow. What matters is your life. The next one is get support. Whether you just sobered up after a brief lapse or you're in the middle of a longer relapse, you should consider contacting your addiction counselor, recovery coach, or other recovery accountability supporter to schedule a face-to-face meeting. Prepare yourself for a difficult conversation. Admitting you slipped up will be difficult and humbling. If you can't bring yourself to meet in person, make a phone call or send a message. The important part is to reestablish contact and let them know that you're struggling. Talisa said, I have nothing but the utmost respect for someone who can walk in a meeting and get a new key tag. That's working an honest program. Me too. Yeah, the support, we always say that, obviously. Get somebody that you can trust to tell so that you can reach out there. Call on loved ones. This step may be particularly tough, especially if you've hurt your friends and family members with your addiction in the past. But support from the most important people in your life is critically important if you want to recover. So it's saying not just your sober support, but your loved ones. Like the people in your life, maybe that aren't in working a program with you, but the people that you trust and love, you need to reach out to them and let them know, like, hey, this relapse was hard for me. I'm kind of struggling a little bit with it. Can you help me? Or let them know that you're feeling that shame and that guilt about it. So maybe they can help you understand why you shouldn't. And maybe that could actually grow your bond with them closer just by working through some of those deep-rooted issues that you have about your most recent relapse. So definitely talk to your family members about what you're feeling. especially if you've come back from a relapse. Devin says, realizing the differences between disappointment and concern from a loved one support system is critical. Consider returning to treatment. Now, this is more geared towards someone that has had a relapse and maybe still is in active addiction, thinking about this means so much to family members. Yeah, absolutely, Connie, I agree. Talking with someone openly about it is super important. But I think that some of these steps are more geared towards someone that is still kind of in active addiction, and because the next one says consider returning to treatment, which Kim actually mentioned that whether or not you should return to treatment will depend on the severity of your relapse and the circumstances around it. If the relapse consists of a few hours or a few days, you may be able to veer back to your recovery path somewhat seamlessly. If you went on a multiple week bender, another round of treatment may be in order. Just like every addiction story is different, so is the path to recovery. Some treatment providers and facilities offer aftercare services as part of the original treatment plan or free counseling for a period following the initial treatment time. So it's basically saying what we always say, everybody's recovery story is different and everybody's pathway to recovery is completely different. So why would it be any different coming back from a relapse, right? Because coming back from a relapse, the things that you're going to do are really the same as they are when you're in recovery. So everybody's might be different. So whatever your treatment provider thinks or your sponsor thinks, or when you talk about it with a family member, that's really what you're going to gear it towards. And everybody's is going to be different. Some people might need some residential treatment after their last relapse, and some people might just need to get hooked up with their support system and get back to what they were originally doing. Devin said, I think returning to treatment is never dependent on the relapse. A relapse is a relapse. If you feel you need treatment after a 5-hour bender or 5 days is irrelevant. I'm thinking you're saying irrelevant. Well, I agree. I think some people do need residential treatment after their relapse. I don't think it depends on how long. I think it depends on where their mindset is and if they're able to get out of it. Some people can't, So I guess you would really just make that decision with your treatment provider, or with your family member, like I said. Everybody's different. Thank you, Devin. Thinking of relapse as a stepping stone. Instead of viewing your slip as a step backward, think of it as a progression on your road to recovery. Many people lapse or relapse, and if you think of each attempt at sobriety as means of getting closer to your goal, a lesson in your cumulative recovery learning, so to speak, this setback won't be in vain. So thinking of relapse as a stepping stone. And I think that's a really good way to put it, because a lot of people, their recovery stories are riddled with relapses, and what they know and the way that they help other people is a collection of all of the relapses that they've had and all of the recovery that they've had. So they're all just stepping stones. So if you could think of it that way and get yourself up to stand back up again, then you could be learning a valuable lesson that could really help somebody else out in the long run. Talisa said it's never a failure if you learn a lesson from it. I agree. I definitely agree. I wish I could get down here and always learn from the mistakes so you don't make them again. Failure is not so, as long as you're learning from it. I agree with that as well. Connie agrees. But try not to get trapped in a revolving door. While recovering from addiction behavior, some people get caught in a pattern of repeated relapse and rehab, a phenomenon sometimes called revolving door syndrome. In most cases of revolving door syndrome, the person isn't fully or consistently committed to a sober life, which makes going back to the substance or behavior of choice seem too tempting to resist. The cycle of repeated relapse is dangerous because it takes a toll on the individual's health, sense of self-worth, and whatever healthy, positive relationships remain in his or her life. Although repeated slips can be a normal part of recovery for some, ongoing relapse and rehab can become a compulsive pattern of its own and make it even more difficult to stay successful and stay sober long term. I get that. Because you get stuck in a pattern, right? I know a lot of people not with the rehab part, because I didn't go to the same rehab more than once or anything, but with the jail, it was a revolving door. I saw the same people in there all the time, which means I was part of that revolving door, because every time I would go, I'd see the same people, So it was like a pattern. It was like it became almost normal to go out, have this month or two long time of using, go back to jail, get back to normal, get into a program, relapse, go back out. Like it was just the way it was for a long time. Just reminded me how much I didn't want to be that again. Yeah. That's the one thing that's good with the relapse, because it reminds you of everything bad that has happened, during that time, and it reminds you why you definitely do not want to have that life again. I feel like that sometimes when I see other people, I see myself in other people a lot. Like if somebody's out having an active addiction, or if they're coming back from a relapse, and I see traits of my own in them, I think, oh my gosh, I remember when that, I remember how it was. I remember when that was me, and I am thinking, I don't want to go back to that, I don't want to go back to that life. So look on the bright side. A slip may feel like the end of the world, but really it's an opportunity for growth and reinforcing basic life skills that need more work. Many people emerge from relapse with a fresh scare regarding what they're up against. Andrea, you just said that, as well as a deeper commitment to becoming sober. This renewed motivation can help you come back from a relapse even stronger than you were before. Andrea just said that. She said it reminded her of what she knew she didn't want. And I don't think I could have said it better. Devin says, I empathize a lot with people. Knowing they are hurting inside makes me hurt with them for them. Yeah, because you know what they feel. And I do too. And that is, it's part of the process. Because there's a lot of times that I feel like, man, I remember those feelings and it hurts me, Hurts me to see people that way. It shows that what doesn't work for you. Yeah, Talisa. It shows what doesn't work. It showed what didn't work. I absolutely agree. Okay. How do I get over the guilt of relapsing? How many of you still are suffering with guilt from relapsing? I know I have guilt still from using. I don't know necessarily if I have them from my last relapse. Mine are really just in guilt from my whole addiction. So, how many of you are dealing with guilt right now from your most recent relapse? I'll start on the material. Guilt is defined as the fact of having committed a specific or implied offense or crime. As an act, to guilt means to make someone feel guilty, especially in order to induce them to do something. Unfortunately, guilt, which comes from a relapse, doesn't always inspire someone to do something about it. Instead, the guilt can be more convicting of that implied offense or crime and essentially imprison someone with their own guilt. Connie says, I get very anxious when I know my daughter will go get out of rehab. I love her so much and I wanted to do so good. I know it's up to her and I just need to be supportive. Connie, is that going to be soon? Just wondering when she was coming home. And that's, I mean, and I know you do, and that's normal as a mom to feel that way, and have guilt like that. But you have done everything that you possibly can for her. And I think it's her turn to stand up and do it for herself. And she's already on the right track and she's made so much progress and she looks amazing. And I think that, you know better than anyone, as someone that's been doing this for as many years as you have, that all you can do is give her the tools, you know? And God will provide the rest. And I have faith that this time will be something amazing. So Talisa said, I almost have guilt because I haven't relapsed, if that makes sense. Yeah, you've talked with me about that before, because you say that you feel like it was too easy for you this time. And I think that the reason that you think it's too easy is because you haven't relapsed. So you think you've had it easier than other people. And that's not the case, because you've put in more work than most people do. So that's the difference. We had relapses because we weren't working a program. You understand? I didn't try to actually, like, in my heart, this is the only time I've ever tried to work a program. I did the things that they told me I had to do every other time. Somebody was telling me I had to do those things. I got clean because my probation officer told me I was going to go to jail if I didn't. I got clean because Children's Services told me I was going to lose my kids if I didn't. I got clean because my family was wanting me to get clean. None of those times did I actually work a program of recovery. So maybe if God would have enlightened me the first time, and I would have been, my eyes opened and understood and knew what I needed to do, then I wouldn't have any relapses either, because I would have worked a program. But the thing is that wasn't in my cards. God needed me to be on methadone, Suboxone, program. He needed me to be in a rehab, in a jail, in a felony lockdown facility, in 5 different county jails. He needed me to have all of those things happen so that I could do this. So I know that, and I know that I played a huge part in that, but that just wasn't my story. So just because that's my story and your story is that you worked your program the very first time and got it, doesn't mean that it was any easier for you than it was for me. You understand what I'm saying? You haven't quit working a program. You're a year clean and you still go to 7 meetings a week and work your steps and talk to your sponsor and stay accountable. So if I would have did that, I would have multiple years in recovery, like a lot of multiple years. So okay. Let yourself off the hook. Yes, you relapsed. You can call it whatever you want. Messing up, screwing up, throwing it all away. The only way you waste your treatment and sobriety experience is by not going back. You have to let yourself off the hook and remember that the disease of addiction is chronically relapsing and remitting disease. It's a chronically relapsing and remitting disease, okay? Staying in remission from addiction long-term is possible, but relapse is likely. And the only reason I say that, I'm not saying that to give anyone permission to use. I'm giving the people that have relapsed and came back into recovery permission to love themselves. Okay? I'm not giving anyone permission to use. I'm giving the people that I know are on the live right now that have come back from a relapse permission to be proud of themselves. You have to let yourself off the hook and remember that it's a disease. I had to forgive myself. I should have had it so many times. If I would have just tried harder, if I would have just cared more. But honestly, I never really wanted to stop using drugs. I wanted to have my kids. I wanted to be a productive member of society. I wanted to not be on probation, but I didn't want to stop using. That didn't come till this time. It's a chronic disease. It's always going to be there. You need to know your worth sobriety. You are worth sobriety. More importantly, you need to know for yourself that sobriety is worth it. If you are teetering the edge of coming back or not, you might find yourself asking many other people what you should do. Should you go back? Should you stay out? Should you use? Should you go find recovery? Is it worth it? 1,000,000 people will give you 1,000,000 opinions. You have to be the one to form an opinion of your own. Make a decision and take action. It's really simple, because a lot of people are going to tell you a lot of different things. It just comes down to what type of life you want. What is the type of life that you want? Do you want to stay using and chronically relapsing and just be that person? Or do you want to be able to say, I used to be a chronic relapser and now I have 4 years clean? So, I pulled off some different comments that people said about coming back from relapses. So I'm going to read them. And then I thought we could kind of discuss that and what other thoughts people had about how has it been? How hard has it been to come back from a relapse? What are you doing differently now? What are the things that you're doing now that you didn't do before? What are you doing that gives you the surety that you won't have another relapse? Do you think that you are doing enough? Comment on those things. Let's talk about it. This person says, while I'm in the middle of a relapse after 2 months, I knew it was coming. It feels good now I've stopped crying. My husband gave me such a hard time. I'm already feeling bad enough. Geesh, I really appreciated this inspirational words I've been getting from my support. There's hope for me yet, and I'm going to try again. This person says, I relapsed this year and was ashamed. The hospital treated me like a criminal. But it was after my relapse that I realized my party days were over. And it was time to move on to the next chapter. I survived this time. There may not be a next time. I'm successful at work and are moving towards a PhD in psychology. Family, school, and work are my priorities, and I have to set a good example for my kids. So that's somebody that's come back from a relapse and seems to be doing really well. This person said, I recently relapsed over 4 days. I want to get back on track and for it to not happen again. It's really crazy to be reading comments of people coming back from a relapse and remembering those feelings of what it felt like the first few days and months after and during that time. It's crazy, to think about that we all have the same thoughts and the same feelings, and we all go through the same emotions. We're just at different parts of our journey. Isn't that crazy? Like what you're going through right now, what some of you are going through, I went through, or what I'm going through, some of you have went through. And it's like never ending. Like we've all experienced the same things, and I love that. Nobody's talking. We have like hardly any participation tonight. Except for Devin and Talisa. This person says, I relapsed 2 weeks after coming out of rehab. That was me. I relapsed 3 days after leaving a 6-month program. So I was a year clean because I had been in jail and I relapsed. I relapsed 2 weeks after coming out of rehab. which I left after a month, then 6 because I didn't believe it was doing any good. I'm 4 days sober now after a 2-week binge, and now I've hurt my liver more than ever because I'm not recovering as fast as before. This time I've lost my brother and some friends. Next time I may not survive. I'm going to give it a try. What I like about these is that some of them, even though they're going through like a lot of pain, I wanted to read them because I know some of you are still dealing with some of that stuff and they still have hope, just like you guys do. Even though they're coming back from really hard things, in the end, they're all saying, I'm going to get up and give it another try. So that's really why I wanted to read some of them, because I feel like the best hope I get is from other recovering addicts and what they're doing. It just makes it personal when I can read a story that and relate to someone. So I was hoping I would get some more of y'all's stories. I've been an addict for 15 years. I recently went to rehab back in August, a great program. Within 5 weeks of being out, I had a new job, family coming back around, and seeing my kids again. Relapse hit me out of nowhere. I didn't even know how or why it happened, honestly. All I know is I can't go through it again, and neither can my loved ones. I truly believe that this is the time for me, and it helped tremendously for me to go to meetings. Hi, my name is blank. I am an addict, and now I'm on the road to recovery. I like that one a lot. Talisa said, I almost have guilt. Oh, I already read that. Am I not? Oh, you guys aren't commenting. I just didn't see any of them. I'm ridiculous. Hey, Jamie. I don't know how to work my phone. I thought nobody was talking to me. I'm like, nobody's talked in like 20 minutes. Andrea says, shame and guilt, the letdown of everyone, including myself. I'm so embarrassed. I'm ridiculous. Fix it and move forward. Jamie says, when I relapsed, I tried to dig deeper and try to figure out why I relapsed. I was always looking for the answer outward. And honestly, the moment I looked inward, I started finding answers and things started working and coming together quicker than I thought it could. Jamie's so eloquent with her words. I love it. Connie says, never give up. You are worthy and the world needs your gifts. I'm just looking back to make sure I didn't miss anything really important because I thought that no one was talking to me. I'm so ridiculous. I don't care what anyone's reason is for getting clean as long as they find a reason within. Talisa said, I read a story online today about someone with 23 years clean. Just came back from a relapse. They had gotten complacent and stopped going to meetings and stopped working a program. That's when it always happens. I'm not going to say always because I do know someone that I knew a couple people that did work a very vigilant program and they worked their program well and they still relapsed. So it could hit you at any time. It's especially with the mental health issues. But I do get what you're saying. A lot of times it's people that stop going to meetings or stop working their program. But I know some people that have relapsed working a full program. So I'm telling you, this disease is cunning and baffling and it is a killer because it'll get you any time. The Factor family will always support you. Devin says, I'm doing me. I'm doing me too. I'm living a life that I know I can be proud of. Getting over working on the fear of what people think is crucial. Yeah, it is. As long as I know I can be proud of where I'm heading is what motivates me. Realizing that you can have and deserve to have everything you had and everything you want is driving force for me. I'm done with hanging my head because of others' opinions and judgment. That's right, Devin. You deserve so much more than that. Jamie Baker, for me, I had to change my behaviors. I've been an addict for so long. My attitude, temper, everything had to change. That's right. You sound just like me. I said I had to change everything. I had to change my attitude, the way I spoke, like everything about myself. Like I had to change it down to the littlest, stupidest thing because it was the only way that I was able to stay clean. I had to literally be a different Stephanie. Sorry, not sorry. Kim said, although it was so disappointing coming back from this last relapse, I can honestly say for some reason this time getting clean and sober is different. And I feel so blessed to have made it back from a relapse. I'm glad you made it back too, Kim. You never know when you won't. Honestly, the biggest thing I had to do to stay sober is fall in love with myself again. I put in relationships, I put in myself, and I learned myself and what I love to do again. That's perfect. Kim says the thing about pain is it's only temporary, but it needs to be felt to remind me I don't have to live that way anymore. Exactly. You got to feel it. You have to really feel the emotions. That goes with every emotion. Anything you could be, the guilt, the shame, the pain, the hurt, the loss, all of it. You have to feel it. You have to really be self-aware of it and feel it to move on from it. Being pregnant and having a lapse was probably the hardest part. Everyone is so much more judgmental. I was angry for a few days because it seemed as if no one understood it doesn't rewire your brain. Then I realized sitting in anger wasn't going to help me. I get it, Andrea, I do. And it's really hard with the program that you're in. I'm sure with having eyes on you, how hard that must have been for you. And you're right. People don't understand that just because you become pregnant doesn't mean that your brain is rewired and you're no longer an addict. Anybody that's in addiction should be non-judgmental and understand how sick we are because of the things we did in our addiction. I mean, I was a year clean when I went back and drove and relapsed and totaled my mom's car and drove it into a house. So I should have known better. I was a year clean, but I was still sick. You can be clean and be sick. Your brain don't get rewired just because you want a different life. Getting clean, Devin says, getting clean for you and the baby was what you needed to do. Yes. Hey, Tiff. Tiffany said, I had to find myself again and deal with all the pain that I was using for. It was hard, but me losing a baby and almost losing my own life literally opened my eyes. Yeah, Tiffany, you're one of those people that needed that drastic thing was your eye opener. You know what I mean? Your rock bottom was like a physical and a mental type of thing. Jamie said, I relapsed when I was pregnant, and I'm not saying that is okay by any means, but an addict doesn't think about that child first. If we could think about our children and that be enough, none of us would get high. I know that's right. If I was able at the time to put my kids first, I'd be doing this live with 2 little kids sitting with me. But I didn't have the power. So when y'all talking about relapsing, pregnant, and thinking that somebody's judgmental and don't understand, I get it. It might be a different situation, but I get it. You know, we all do things that we're not proud of. Just because you had a little bit of clean time doesn't mean that you're any different. See if there's any more good ones on here. This one says, I was clean for 8 months on meth, slipped. Now I'm a revolving door relapser. I'm losing everyone around me as well as myself. Looking back now, it's funny. I keep coming within an inch of going back to rehab to recover, but kept getting a better job and wouldn't do it. My spouse just relapsed, slipped after 2.5 years. What I feel should be done with her is let her feel the bad part of the slip, but to neutralize that with the support and hope. That one was a little weird to understand, but so the ones that have come back from a relapse this time, what are you guys doing? What are you doing differently? Is there anything in your program that's different than it was before? I can't speak on that because I did everything different this time. And I know Kim is the same way. She's 100% doing she's doing a whole different program. I had to change everything. But some of you, like Jamie, already had a good program going. And so I'm just curious as to what, did your mindset change or what is different now that you think is going to make the difference for you for long-term recovery. Everyone does things we're not proud of, even people who are not addicts. Yep, that's exactly right. Tiffany said, I think the biggest change for me was the people I was hanging out with. Literally felt like I had been born again when I got clean because I had to change and learn all things over again. But I'm so glad that I did because I can honestly say the life I have today is worth more than 27 other years I've lived. I feel the same way. Like my life before isn't even, it's like almost like it's somebody else's life. Devin said, it's taken me a long time to admit this, but a lot of my problem was that I honestly was a horrible person. I felt that I was not like all those users and I was different. Realizing I'm no better and never have been and never will be. Realizing that the support from within from people just like you that have been through relatable things is so helpful and encourages me to strive for excellence and to help others in need. So, I get that. So even though you were trying to work a program, you still kind of felt like maybe it was a little bit beneath you at the time and like you didn't need as much help as other people. But you realized after this last relapse that that's not true and that you do need the support and that we all do kind of go through a lot of the same things. I get it. Hey, Kendra. I've never really had a real relapse. I've never went longer than 3 days, and that's when I was in detox. I always am and went right back out because I was still sick. These 56 days is the longest I've been clean in 10, almost 11 years. Yay for 56 days for Kendra. So what are you doing different then? You got to be doing something different. Jamie says, I got my higher power back and will continue working through the mental problems. I've honestly never relapsed. How much are thinking and behaviors and taking us back to relapse? I had to turn the arrow in and focus on myself. That's a lot, Jamie. That's a huge difference. That's a lot of different things. That's good. Yeah. You had to be okay with Brian dying. So you had some deep-rooted pain that you needed to grieve, that you didn't feel and you needed to get through. I get that. Because they told me I had to grieve for my kids. Even though both my kids are still alive, I had to grieve the loss. And that was what kept me in active addiction, was because I never allowed myself to feel the pain of losing them. Like, it was almost like I wouldn't even, like, my brain wouldn't even register it. Like, I would not discuss it. So I had to actually go through that in counseling and, like, grieve my brother's death also. And, I had to feel those things that I literally would, like, skim over in a sentence and pretend like they weren't even real life events. Devin says, yes, and finally, as said earlier, from someone looking within and not outward gives you a brand new and needed view of what was needed to get and stay clean. Jamie said, me watching Jacob OD and come back really traumatized me, and the fact that I had worked through this and never thought of going back shows me the change inside me I made. Yeah. I'm sure that did traumatize you. It's been hard for me to see other people overdose. Even though it's happened to me, that didn't traumatize me, but being there when someone else did, that did traumatize me. Kim says, what I did different was change everything. I was familiar with the rooms of meetings, but I wasn't working with the steps or participating. I also got a sponsor whom I actually made it to a point that I call her every single day. Picked up the phone. I've fallen in love with my laugh. I'm goofy, but whoever says you can't have fun in a sobriety lied. Word. I feel the same way because I'm having the most fun in recovery now. See, you're going to end up just like me. Everybody says I'm crazy, but I'm just loving life. And I love who I'm becoming. I can't wait to share this feeling with the next addict. I just want to share my strength and hope with everyone. That's how I am. Everybody's like, why are you so pumped up, hyper, crazy? Are you kidding me? I'm like, I seriously get a high on life because I had such a miserable existence before I found recovery. Miserable, lonely, no self-worth, thought I deserved to die existence. And then recovery happened. So, of course I'm this way. I don't know what other way to be. I thank God every day I'm alive. Kendra said, I'm actually working my recovery this time. I'm just done, finally. I think every time Mindy got out of rehab, she always ended up trying to help other people who were still using, Connie said. And that always took her back down the wrong road. I would always tell her that she had to work on herself first and give herself time. I realized she just wasn't ready and working a program for herself. She just wanted to be around people who were still using. I don't know if there were times with her, Connie, that I really felt like she truly wanted recovery. She may have had reservations, like subconsciously, but there were times that I spent time with her when you weren't around, or phone calls with her where I felt that she was seeking true recovery. I think with her she was a people pleaser like I am. We talked about it a lot. And I think that her spending time with those people using was because she was trying to please them. She missed the friendships, even though they really weren't friendships. I think for Mindy, they were the only people that she felt like really liked her. So it would always lead back to using for her. So I don't want you to think that she never actually did try to seek out and stay in recovery, because I did see passion in her a lot. I just don't think it was sustainable because part of her sickness was like mine, wanting and needing people to like her. And I'm hoping that, and from what I see on Facebook of her and how amazing she looks, she's got to be working on that, because she looks fabulous. And her smile looks genuine. I've never seen a genuine smile from her until now. And I'm just like, I can't wait to actually talk to this girl and get to know her clean. That's going to be awesome. I can't wait. Jamie says, and honestly, the fact that Pivot doesn't go into the bathroom with me and the fact I use never crossed my mind literally makes me feel so happy. Yeah. Yeah, because they're doing those unsupervised drops right now. And so it's never like you're not even thinking about. That's awesome. I know all the pain that I've caused, but piece of me still wanted them, and I don't know exactly how. I'm so thrilled the want is gone. That's awesome. It's so awesome. Talisa said, I want everyone to feel like I do. Me too. I just wish I could take, because I got enough of it. So I wish I could take like little pieces of how I, like the happiness I have, or the passion for recovery, or like the caring about other people. I should take little pieces of it and give it to everybody, because I know I would still have plenty for myself. Connie said, I want to give up on her, and I think that I believe she gets stronger each time she tries. I won't give up on her. She's gotten so much stronger. Jamie said, now I'm still changing my thought on marijuana, because my whole life it's never been a drug to me or my family. I know it's wrong. I just have to remind myself that I am a daily basis, and I can't wait to wake up and not have that want for marijuana either. Yeah, it's going to take work. Marijuana is a hard one. It wasn't for me because I never smoked, but I know a lot of people that struggle with that. So keep reaching out for support. You can do it. I know you can. Yeah, Talisa, I know I have that same people pleasing piece in me, but I have worked on it so much that it's a lot. It's like disintegrating, and I'm so glad, because I still want to help people and I care about people and I want to make everyone happy, but I don't want to be trying to please anyone. So I've found a healthy balance in that. Devin says, yes, I don't talk to about 5 people I was very close to while in active addiction, even though we had a connection on a deeper level. Not talking to them hurts like hell, and I miss them, but I know in my heart that I can't do anything for them right now. Yeah, Devin, I relate. That's how I was with Tessa, my friend Tessa. We met in rehab, actually, but we used together for a long time, and then I got clean and she wasn't yet, and I had to let her go, and we were true friends, I thought, but then I got confused in early recovery, like the first 6 months of recovery, because they kept telling me that people that you used with couldn't possibly be real friends. So I had to cut her off because I didn't want to die. I wanted her to find recovery, but she hadn't yet. So, but people kept telling me like, well, there's no way. And I just waited it out, and I had patience, and I cut her out the way I needed to take care of me. And she found recovery, and now we're very close again. So, and I'm so proud of her. She's a year clean, over a year clean. So if they're true friends and you connect with them on a deeper level, when they have their time, When their time comes, y'all will connect again. Oh, Connie, stop it. I love you. Beth is forever trying to teach me boundaries. I know. Where is Beth anyway? Oh, she told me she's going to bed. That's right. She has to work tomorrow. Boundaries are essential. Yes. I work on my boundaries all the time. It's something that is a never-ending process for me because I also have been known to enable. So I'm like recovering from everything. So sometimes I have slips in the enabling category. So I work on my boundaries daily. Tiffany says, I think the most thing that I struggle with is still having a sister in addiction and watching my mom worry. I've always been close with my sister, so not to talk to her, not helping her is really hard for me. I know. I pray for you guys every day because I think about it so much and what you must be going through just about to have a baby and the struggle that you're having and stuff. And I just want you to know that you've done so much to change your life. I'm so proud of you, and you've done all you can. So rest easy with that. Jamie said, thank you for doing these online. I've noticed a few people who need warming up to the meetings and feel that everyone talks and open up more. So thank you. Good. You're welcome, Jamie. I'm really glad you're here. So it's awesome for me to see that. I just wanted to provide something that people felt comfortable with. It wasn't just about the coronavirus. It wasn't just about the coronavirus. Honestly, it just was a perfect avenue for me to start doing a couple lives because I know there are people that will get on and participate in this that are not going to leave their house and go to a meeting, right? They're not going to get up and do it. But I know I see some people logged on that I haven't seen at a meeting, might be getting some recovery tonight, and that's a good thing. So it's a good excuse for it. So 6-foot rule, social distancing. All right, I'm going to take some finishing comments from you guys, and then we're going to call it a night, and we're going to do Saturday at 7 p.m. We're going to do triggers and cravings, my favorite topic. Who knows my number one trigger? I know someone knows my number one trigger. Tiffany's on here, so I know she knows it. Who knows what my number one trigger is that I absolutely cannot be around or do this, or I get physical cravings? Who's going to get it first? My number one trigger. I know it's going to be Tiffany Schaefer. Jamie says amen. I'm just waiting because I know if she's on still. I'll give you a minute. Talisa might get it. What's Stephanie's number one trigger? I've spoken enough and talked with you guys enough. I appreciate you too, Heather. I know, I didn't want to say no names, but I'm glad you're on. Getting some real recovery, girl. I'm proud of you. Waiting on the number one trigger because I know it's coming up. Yeah, we're having good conversations. I'm very excited for it. Nope, not needles, Jamie. Nice guess, though. Any more guesses? I know somebody knows it, but Tiffany's on there. I know it's coming. What's my number one trigger? Any more guesses? By doing this, you've given me the strength to come to meetings as soon as they start again. Knowing we're all in this together has given me a renewed ease on life. Yes, I love you, Devin. Heather called herself out. Yeah, you did, girl. But I don't care because just you participating in these meetings is all I could get. So, I'm just so proud of you and that you're still participating. And toxic relationships, nope. Needles, nope. Waiting on Tiffany Schaefer. What's my number one trigger? Vinegar, no, but that's a good one. Vinegar is a trigger for me. Yep, the meeting is still going on Wednesday and Friday nights at 7:30 at the First Presbyterian Church. And the Monday morning meeting is at the First Presbyterian Church too at 11:30. They're empty bottles of water. No. Nope. I'll wait one more second and then I'll tell you what my number one trigger is. So we have the NA meeting at Monday afternoons at 11:30. Oh, yeah, intervention. Watching things on TV with use when they're actually using. I can't watch Intervention. I can't watch Drugs Inc. Apparently, Tiffany says I can't watch Power, even though I wanted to try it. But she's like, no, my number one trigger is TV shows about addiction. And it's not one that people say a lot. So, yep. Not cotton, Jamie, but that's a trigger for me as well. Vinegar is my number 2. So it's TV shows about addiction when their addicts are using, and vinegar. Vinegar gives me physical cravings in my throat. So, all right. So the NA meeting is Monday morning at First Presbyterian Church at 11:30. Wednesday night and Friday night at 7:30 at the First Presbyterian Church. I don't know of any other ones. Maybe Ashley Schleter might know about some AA meetings that are still going on. But I will be back on at 7 p.m. Saturday night to talk about, we'll be doing triggers and cravings. And I hope I see all of you there. Try and stay sane during this definitely different time. And keep 6 feet apart. Only go out if you need to. Practice the social distancing and love each other. I love you guys so much.